Hi, I'm Professor Silver, and in today's class, I'll rank Brock's 10 best battles in all the anime. I'm basing the rankings around their impact on Brock, effect on character growth, and sheer epicness. Be sure to comment if you agree or disagree, as I'm very curious as to your thoughts. This video is brought to you by Into the AM.
Oh no! Having problems with the nurses, Professor Silver?
Excuse me? Excuse me?
Oof, it sure looks that way. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you dress?
I'm normally a button-down guy.
And that's your problem. You need something that doesn't sacrifice quality, but is breathable, comfortable, awesome to look at, and can help you get the attention you need.
I especially dig the ones that include their astronaut, as I'm a huge fan of space, science fiction, and psychedelic art. I can't recommend enough that you pick up a few of their basic tees. When taking advantage of their bundles, you can get 3 graphic tees for $60 and 3 basic tees for $49.95. If you want shirts like mine, let them know I sent you by clicking the link in the description. As a bonus for using my link, you'll also get an additional 10% off. It's a can't beat deal, as Into the AM offers free returns for US customers, 30-day money-back guarantees, and fast shipping. And now on to Brock's best battles. Brock's battle with Team Rocket in Mount Moon is significant, as it revealed his capture of Zubat and his newfound ambition to catch non-rock types. Zubat represented a major deviation from the video games. It served as a proclamation that from this point forth, no capture was off limits. Watching Brock command a Pokemon he had never bonded with before was a great testament to his potential for greatness as a breeder. My only complaint about the battle is that it stands as Zubat's peak of usefulness until it evolved in Johto. Okay, hear me out. I know there's nothing overtly epic about Lotad's battle with Sharpedo. There's no explosions or flare, but it's special for showing that Brock will never give up on his Pokemon no matter their shortcomings. Even though Lotad was almost beaten, Brock's belief in its abilities led it to break free like a true warrior. Amazingly, Brock's support also inspired Lotad to both aid him as he healed Sharpedo's injuries and defend the Pokemon from the trio's advances. Ultimately, Lotad's desire to please Brock in battle affirms that friendship is vital to being a good breeder. Geodude losing the Fighting Grand Prix without landing a single punch may seem embarrassing, but Brock's willingness to give up the match in order to save the Pokemon proves his capacity for greatness. I would have loved to see Geodude beat Hitmonlee in a rematch, but its tender acceptance of Brock's apology was still extremely satisfying. Because Brock shouldered all the blame for the loss onto himself, he would later become the antithesis to Paul. While Brock apologized to Geodude and vowed to improve himself in order to live up to its expectations, Paul rejected Chimchar and scorned him for falling behind. Though brief, the battle against Team Galactic in Journeys confirmed that Blissey retained the power she had as a Happiny. The battle was also notable as it revived Croagunk's rivalry with Toxicroak. Brock secured no wins, but he confirmed that he'd probably make for the strongest gym leader in all of Kanto if he ever decided to change careers. One of the coolest aspects of the battle was how Brock's Pokemon were willing to fight his enemies and do whatever they could to offer their protection. If this be Brock's last battle, it'll be an epic send-off to his reputation as a kind leader who inspires epic loyalty. Paul's Torterra completely dominated at the Heart Home Tag Battle tournament, but Croagunk walked away with his head held high as his Brick Break did major damage. Hurting Paul's most powerful Pokemon showed that Brock's relationship with Croagunk was leading the Pokemon to reach untold heights of power. It's interesting to wonder how the battle would have differed had Brock been given a more capable teammate. Who knows, with a little support and a lot of luck, he may have just beaten Paul's ultimate ace. There's no question Marshtomp should have won this battle and earned Brock his very first ribbon. It landed many blows, sensed Eevee's movements, dirtied her fur, and made May look like a chump. May winning makes no sense, but the battle is still a great showing of Marshtomp's skills. By doing so well without prior contest experience, Marshtomp confirmed that Brock is a jack of all trades who can excel in whatever he sets out to accomplish. The battle also highlights how awesome it would have been had Marshtomp realized its full potential and evolved all the way into a Swampert. Brock's return to the Pewter Gym during the Battle Frontier saga was a perfect homecoming as it led to the revelation that his Onix had evolved into Steelix. It baffles me that the evolution didn't take place in Johto, but I suppose one can't complain when we're gifted with an epic battle. Seeing Steelix team up with Donphan was awesome, as it elevated Brock's ace to a position of power that we had never seen before. Previously, Onix's true strength had only been glimpsed during its debut. Whilst fighting side by side with Ash, Brock showed that his Pokemon were every bit as strong as Ash's despite their lack of usage. Brock's return in Sun and Moon was made infinitely more epic by the inclusion of Mega Steelix. By trouncing Kiawe's Turtonator, Mega Steelix confirmed that Brock will forever be the companion king. It was great to see Steelix secure another victory, as it was given few chances to shine as an Onix. It's important to note that the battle benefits immensely from superior animation. Words can't describe how awesome it was to watch Croagunk finally beat Toxicroak. The victory was made all the sweeter, as the rivalry only began because Toxicroak threatened Brock with Dark Pulse. It was a super short battle, but it was still cool to see one of Brock's Pokemon be given a rivalry and a multi-episode narrative arc. Croagunk's victory felt like a true win for Brock as well, because it never would have materialized had Brock not supported Croagunk and nursed its ego after the previous loss. Even when including Onix's stint as a Mega Steelix, it was never more terrifying than during its debut. Its ability to completely dominate Pikachu was so formidable that Ash forfeited their very first battle. Equally impressive was Brock's confidence, intimidating glare, and total regard for Pikachu's safety. The two fights between Ash and Brock offered the first glimpse into Brock's psyche and caring nature. It's a shame he didn't show off more of his skill as a battler throughout Kanto and Johto, as Onix's stature gave it a completely unique fighting style. I also love that in the second gym battle, both Brock and Ash offered to forfeit in order to save the other's Pokemon. In doing so, they forged a powerful bond that would grow into one of Pokemon's greatest bromances. It always surprises me when I think of just how little Brock battled in the Pokemon anime. When compared to other companions like Dawn and May, his total number of battles pales by magnitudes. Despite this deficiency, however, he's still an amazing character with a heart of gold. Personally, I'd love to see him one day reach his full potential and battle Ash in a 6-on-6. Hopefully if he does, that'll become the new best battle. Everything I've said is subjective, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on which battle you thought was best. With that, class is adjourned. I want to give a big thanks to Into the AM and the channel's patrons for their support. My name again is Professor Silver. Until next time, catch you later.